Hi, Misha here, and it's definitely overdue for a Blackbox video. And specifically, I want to talk about my last week, essentially spring break, although different schools take spring break at different time, and I am far too old to be in school, but still, it's a good identifiable time. Also, I want to begin by saying we've had some crazy ass weather. It was relatively warm last week, not hot, but 50s, maybe low 60s, and now it's dipped back down to below freezing. Even during the day, it's not very warm out here, even with the sun out, so we'll see how long this will go. In fact, I thought about recording this Blackbox a day or two ago, but it was too cold to step outside, and for some reason I just like sitting outside when I do these, so we'll see how long I can talk. And I will probably link this on the Patreon page, because it does kind of give channel news. I don't want to announce it on the Mishaco channel publicly, what's going on yet, but personal channel and Patreons, yeah, I feel pretty confident in talking now about what happened. And yeah, I'm just kind of those people that I'm not exactly superstitious, but then I am. I feel like if you talk about something before it actually happens, you're just jinxing yourself. Life experience there on me. But with no further ado, let me explain what happened and, yeah, give you a forecast of the next few weeks here and on Mishaco. Also, why I might not be posting as much on the personal channel for a couple of weeks, because I'm very tired. So, from the outset, a couple of weeks back, I planned to go visit Fox and family, get a range day or two in, basically stay maybe 4 days visiting family out of town. And all was going to plan, had a few new guns I wanted to talk about and what have you. I was planning to leave Thursday. I think it was Tuesday before. Yeah, I think it might have even been that Wednesday, but now I'm pretty sure it's that Tuesday. Got a phone call from Fox around noon saying that we'd been contacted. They were reaching out to us to do an interview on the news for a program they were doing kind of on prepper, survivalism, shit hits the fan, SHTF situations. And they were doing basically different groups of people. There is a water purifier and food person. They were also going to go up north and interview some people that did silos, bought those retired government silos and were doing various things with them. You get the drift. And there's a bit of irony here. First off, it was with Fox News, which is not terribly surprising considering it was going to involve firearms. The more surprising part is that the actual person or program doing the interview was Tucker Carlson, which automatically made me think it's going to make a few people's heads explode, which I find darkly hilarious because that's kind of how my sense of humor runs. So after a little bit, I agreed to do it, Let's see how it goes. And that was the setup. So the problem was they wanted to meet that Tuesday. And I was planning on staying Thursday through Saturday, Thursday through Sunday, visiting family. Well, it's one of those things. It was too close to really warrant me trying to get a ride back up and then back down and then back up. At the same time, it basically meant I would be gone nigh on an entire week, especially if you consider that Wednesday was pretty much packing and prepping to go. It was a week of my time, which is hard to do when you run a business. So after a bit of debate, just kind of, in for a penny, and packed to stay for a week down there, hoping that business would hold out. I shipped as much as I could that Thursday, and cross fingers, hope for the best, frankly. And the trip itself went well. Thursday went down, spent time with part of the family. Friday we went out to the cabin and did some shooting. Some of that footage is already up, some will be up. Saturday was not feeling too good. That's when the weather turned. Friday was a gorgeous day. Highs in the 60s, sunny as could be. Saturday was the opposite. It was cloudy, windy, cool, a little bit drizzly, just a miserable day. So I'm glad I could just stay in, basically. Sunday was better. It was still kind of hazy, a little sunny. That's actually the day we did the Q&A. We did just a smidgen of shooting, but mostly the Q&A. Ate a bite, visited with family. Supposed to be home, well, I was staying with family at 7 or 8 that night and ended up staying till around 10, just visiting with folks, doing things. For the record, Jake did nothing wrong. And moving forward, we get to Monday. That was another day I spent with family, did a few things around town. And then before you know it, Tuesday came and the meeting. So the guys were flying in. As we found out once they got there, they were actually flying from Puerto Rico, where they were interviewing a different prepper type. And they were flying in to Northwest Arkansas here. They were going to interview us Tuesday, someone else Wednesday, and then fly out to Nebraska, I think, or one of the Dakotas. And then from there, Colorado. So they were doing a circuit. There were 3 of them. And their plane was pretty much on time. They grabbed a rental, and we met them at the interstate about 3 o'clock that afternoon. And wasn't sure how long. At first, I thought the interview might take 30 minutes, an hour. Turns out they were told 7:30, and probably the only reason they left then is by that time it was totally dark. Now, that video I posted a few days ago, the Razor ride there in the Polaris, that was part of the film crew in the back. But I wasn't able to refilm them per, rules and regs of Fox News, Tucker program, all that good stuff. So, trying to be respectful of all that. Instead of, they got on camera once or twice, it couldn't be anything mistaken for an interview or conflict of interest. I get it. It's a news program. They're travel. They're on company time. So, yeah, that was part of it. That was kind of the end of the day there. After that, we pretty much packed up and left. As you can see in the video towards the end, it was getting quite dark. But the day was perfect. If they had come earlier, for one thing, time change was Sunday. So we had an extra hour of daylight. So if they'd come just 2 days, or 3 days, I should say, earlier, we would have had to be done at 6:30. On top of that, while Friday was a nice day, Saturday and Sunday were gloomy as all hell. Now, another thing they wanted, in addition to gun shooting and talking about guns and all that, was us to see some good old-fashioned Ozarks mud, some ATV, four-wheeler, whatever you want driving. To be fair, though, RTVs, ATVs have come a long way since I was a kid. A lot more to them now. They even have seat belts and stuff and doors. Different times. But anyway, the day couldn't have been perfect. Even if we'd tried to meet on Friday, and the night weather was nice, and the time zone notwithstanding, it was too muddy. We'd had a bunch of rain that previous week. It would have been a slog fest, especially out on that land. It's basically a lot of clay and mud and kind of a low water table because of the river valley. It would have been nasty. Later, they probably wouldn't have had any mud because it got, Tuesday was perfect. There was still plenty of mud left for fun, but not enough that there was even a moment where we thought we might get stuck, even with Fox's crazy ass driving. That's how he drives on the interstate too, guys. Used to scare the piss out of me when he was 16. Yeah. Now that we're, he's in his 30s, I'm in my 40s, it doesn't matter. But back when he was 16, 17, and I was in my late 20s, it was like, oh shit, what am I doing? I'm going to be killed by a teenager in a car. Anyway, I digress. He knows it too. He used to look at me when he was driving, and I was like, eyes on the road. You don't have to look at me. I don't care. I can't see you. But anyway, it also turned cold. Just a couple of days later. I mean, Wednesday, but then by Thursday of this week, it was already cold. So my point is, they picked the perfect day within probably a 3-week window to come down. And I'd been on the news before, but more local, regional news. I've been interviewed a couple of times over my life, but of course this is a bigger deal. And I wasn't sure. I thought it would probably be on just the online program, but no, what they said was it would be an edited version, 15, 30 minutes maybe on the regular news, cable, satellite news, and then a longer, maybe hour version on the online website thing. I'm not sure exactly where. And I asked them, when, and they said May, which frankly is pretty quick turnaround for as much filming and stuff as we did, and as much editing and whatnot as they're going to have to do. So a little bit about the process and how the actual day of the Blow by Blow went. Started off good, but a little formal because they didn't know us, we didn't know them. In fact, I think deep down Fox was kind of worried about strangers. He's that way, so that's part of the reason we met him at the interstate. Part of it is he lives a little out, so it worked out. And we sit down and talk for a minute once we get back to his place, the man cave, as we've called it. Sometimes we did half of the Q&A last time, and things start to loosen up. But it really gets good when we start going out in the field. So we set up, they tell us what they kind of want to do. Basically, they'd like us to lay out, 4, 5, 6 guns that would be shit hits the fan type guns. So, we kind of all jointly said, okay, let's kind of categorize. What do we need? Well, how about a shotgun? 22. Pistol, and a rifle or two. So, with that, and of course, I'm traveling. Luckily, I had a tiny bit of head's notice, so I was able to bring a couple of guns, but I wasn't with my whole collection. So I kind of made do with what I had down already to shoot. So we load up, get in the Razor, they follow us out, and it's funny, Fox was worried about them driving out there, and they're like, it's a rental, that's what rental insurance is for. They weren't an SUV, which is good, but it's like, yeah, it's a rental, who cares, it's paid for by Fox News, so piss on it. Get out there, and they have one of their camera guys sit in the front with Fox driving. For some reason, they wouldn't let me drive. And get out to the property. He takes them kind of out in the sticks a bit and drives around. They got a little footage from inside the rig driving. And then we go out there and set up and to do some talking and shooting. And basically, that's when I think things started to kind of loosen up for everyone, myself included. Just in case, I'm not going to give the guys' names, but I will say there was a crew of 3, and all got along pretty well. And kind of a couple of younger guys, one middle-aged, and they were rolling a few different cameras. Of course, we got mic'd up. They had a drone, and we set up at the table. So I thought, let's while we're waiting on the sun to really get at the right angle, they call it the golden hour for recording the shooting. We'll do our talk. So we started off with pistols, and Fox is going to, of course, pick a Glock, which is frankly a good choice for many reasons. It was a Glock 19, just a good size for do-all. 9mm being everywhere, yada, 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 simple controls, not a bad pick. But since I had it with me, and I do think it's a good pick, my alternative pick was a SIG P226. I had my Mark 25 with me. And I think it is a good choice because some people still prefer hammer-fired, double single action, whereas the Glock is strikered. And some people still prefer an alloy frame, even though it's going to be a little bit heavier. And, of course, the Mark 25 specifically has a lot of stuff done to it to make it very saltwater, corrosion resistant, which in an SHTF situation is kind of what you want. Chrome line barrel too, good solid gun, also firing 9mm. And while the mags aren't as common as Glock mags, SIG mags are out there. So that was the picks for pistols. And still a little bit stiff at this point. But not bad. We're starting to loosen up. But then we get into shotgun. And that's the Mossberg. It had to be. And I told the story of how my experience by buying both an 870 Express and a Mossberg 500 way back 20-some years ago, and how the Mossberg just worked better. As in the Remington didn't work. Now, to Remington's credit, they replaced it, and sure, it's fine. But it's like, you know what? I don't need both. The Mossberg's fine. Because of me kind of sticking with that influenced a lot of my friends and family because they shot mine and liked it. And that's kind of why a lot of my group is Mossberg now. And there are some Remingtons in the group. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate on them. But, you get comfortable, and you just kind of stick with it. So as it happens, he brought a Shockwave because it was smaller. We could put it in the rig easier, and why not? But it kind of stands in for any pump action Mossbergs. And at this point, we're starting to make a few jokes, and they're keeping a straight face, but you could tell they're starting to kind of get some grins, and we're starting to loosen things up. Next up is 22, and a good pick. Fox brought out his Ruger 1022 Takedown. Now 1022 is a classic, one of the best, just all around little plinking 22s. We figured you needed 22 for that situation because ammo's readily available, lightweight, good for training with, practicing, good for the kids or anyone, good for vermin control, squirrels, even game. A lot of squirrels have been shot with the 22. And, is a last resort self-defense, but you really don't want to get to that point. Mags are available. Good mags are out there for the Ruger 1022. And the Takedown, well, that's pretty obvious. It's an easily stowed gun, either in a backpack or a locker, or even in a canoe if you're doing that. Just a good thing. The Ruger 1022 is a solid choice. I didn't bring any 22s down with me. I actually don't own a lot of 22s, but that's because I'm not a hunter and that type. But still, even I have a couple. I think I've got 3 at the moment, but different strokes. But then we get into the riffles, and this is where the fun begins. So first off, we pick an AR-15. I mean, do I need to explain why? 223 is a good small to medium game cartridge. A lot of deer around here, you could take one down. I would still suggest a larger round for taking down a deer reliably, but in the situation, it will do smaller things great. Defense, great. It's light enough you can carry a lot of ammo with you. ARs are highly configurable. Mags are everywhere, parts are everywhere. It's a Lego gun. And as it happens, we picked a Wilson Combat because, well, they're made here in Arkansas. We're trying to represent because part of the show is about, life in the Ozarks. And, wanted to plug Wilson a bit. Now, it was actually a Wilson upper on just a generic, I think it's a Bushmaster or something lower, doesn't matter. I pointed that out in the video. Lower on an AR, if it's a good lower, it's a good lower. The nuts and bolts are in your upper. And Fox's there actually came from J-Row, and it's set up as more of a medium to long range DMR, heavier barrel, bipod, it's 400 to 600 meter gun. So that's kind of a longer range flat shooting gun. He has various optics for it. And we're already making a few off color jokes trying to get him to chuckle and whatnot. But then they said, oh, we'll be putting this up. We can say whatever we want. Because I was kind of keeping things PG-13, if nothing else. And then they're like, oh, it doesn't fucking matter. So we just let loose. And it wasn't long before we got them to have to say cut because they were laughing too hard. And that's when I think we made some good acquaintances, if not, actual friends. It's hard to say. But that's when everyone really cut loose with the jokes. And you got to be telling dirty stories. You get 5 guys all together and women around, and everyone's tired and just messing around with guns outdoors, and yeah, things get fun. But yeah, AR. I bet you can guess our final category and type. AKs, of course. I mean, we have to do it because it's what the Mishaco channel is about, and well, I actually think AR-15s are very reliable. There are things that an AK does too. Plus the bullet, 7.62x39, that's going to be better at deer and medium gain. And I'm not going to say you're going to shoot a bear with it, but it's going to be more medium. It's also good for brush. That's actually the reason that Finland, while they looked at 223 or 5.45, ended up sticking with 7.62x39. They were just afraid that the smaller bullets, the high velocity or not, would get deflected by branches, twigs, evergreens. So they wanted to go with something, slower, heavier, a little more stubborn, and pointed that out. It's a pretty ubiquitous cartridge. AK mags are almost as common as AR-15. AKs, pros and cons to them, but we talk about that. Fox brings out an Arsenal milled, I think it was his underfolder, which is kind of his beater AK. And I brought out, of course, the SAR-1, meaning that my first AK is now going to be on national news. I already kind of had wanted to bring it out to let Fox shoot it. He'd never shot it before, and I like to bring it out about once a year, and it's been about a year. And so not only did it get to get shot once, it actually got 2 full range trips out of the deal. Because after we were talking guns, we started shooting guns because the time's about right. It's about 6 o'clock, and we've got a good hour to record shooting when the sun's kind of there, but not glaring, and shadows are at the right level, or so I'm told. Now, a running joke I'd started when we got out there was about telling him that I thought the drone was my target because I could hear it and I could track it. So I started tracking the drone with a gun. And at first they weren't nervous. They didn't say don't do that. They knew I was kidding. But still, you know how it is. You think someone's kidding, but still, when you've got a $5,000-$10,000 drone flying around, it never hurts to be too safe. But by the end, they were like, yeah, point at it, and you know, fake like you're going to shoot it. And then they had Fox do it too, so kind of got a shot of us trying to shoot the drone. And I said, you should do is CGI a actual gun flash or even a bullet coming towards the drone. That'd make a hell of a shot. And so, yeah, we get out there and shoot. Yeah, I run some rounds through each of the guns after having talked about them. They also asked me for any kind of B-reel shooting footage from the channel, so I asked them basically how much do you want. If it's a small amount, I'll put it on an FTP server for you. If you want more, they offer to just mail me a hard drive and I'll just fill it up, and whatever they want to do. I don't much care. So yeah, should be a good amount of shooting footage. So we did that. Now I'm gonna be honest. By this point, Fox and I have been shooting three days while I'm down. Ammo's getting low. We had enough for those guys, so no worries. But there's plenty of B-reel. We've got about an hour of daylight left, so they're like, hey, let's get some more of the Razor going through the mud and stuff out on the property. So at first, Fox and I hop in. Again, they wouldn't let me drive for some reason. So he goes around making rooster tails, spraying mud, giving him a good show. And of course, mud's flying everywhere. We're getting muddy. My jacket is still muddy from that. I think I'm just going to throw it in the wash. But all in good fun. Glad I was coming home though, because I was getting filthy. Plus, being jounced around in that Razor, I realized real quick that I was no longer in my 20s. Can't say I hurt, but some muscles and bones surely got stiff the next day, guys. But no, thank God they do have seat belts. So we do that for about, 15 minutes? And then we pull back up to the guys. And then things get real fun. So we pull back up to them, and I'm sure they've been talking with the boss while we were out. And so they open the back doors of the Razor and hop in for another ride around. So that's primarily the one I recorded, and got them in there and did another 15 or so minutes with them in the back and just covered them in mud and hit it big. And as we were driving, one of the guys tells about the other. He goes, this is his second day on the job or something like that. Second day. And apparently this was considered a plum assignment. I never would have thought when I was a kid, being in Arkansas, that this would be the place people would want to come to. But funny how life turns like that. But yeah, apparently he not pissed anyone off back at the home, but kind of vexed a few people that he got to come on this deal, and some of the people with more seniority didn't. But it's a good way to welcome someone onto the team and get them excited and invested. And so he was, it was a good intro. And like I said, they flew in from Puerto Rico, visited us, and they were flying out to the north and then out to Colorado, I believe, next, and what have you. So yeah, they hopped in for a ride, and we got them all doing a little bit of banter back and forth, and then we came back, and the main guy was just shaking his head, laughing at everyone, and we're just now everyone's filthy. Of course, Fox had nephew there clean the Razor just the day before, power hosed it down real good to make it look good. Now it's just completely muddy again. Believe it or not, Fox is a bit of a diva about being things clean. His broom is never far, and his water hose is usually washing everything down outside. He was poking around for a whole week cleaning the place, and they were barely there because we were out in the field. So that was the day in a nutshell. Just kind of giving you the blow by blow, the high points. Of course, for more, there'll be the actual show itself, the small version or the somewhat larger one. And if as I learn more over April and into May when it should be airing, I'll let you guys know. But it was fun. It's always interesting to see what news keeps and what they cut out. I did my best to plug some companies I like and my friends in the gun industry, so much though that I actually forgot to plug myself. Oops. But oh well. I would have felt worse if I forgot to mention someone like how Atlantic Firearms has helped me over the years, or how WBP's been fun to work with, or you know what I mean. It's more fun to me to do that, because, and that's what I said in the video more than once, is it's about community, it's about sharing and being with people. And of course we were doing this all on old family land that's been in that half of my family, that side of my family, since Civil War times. Both the sides of my family are pretty deeply rooted in the country. I think the newest member is I had a great grandfather that came over from England, I think right before World War I, like in the 1900s. But other than that, everyone was pretty much from here. And so we definitely talked a bit about that. It'll be interesting to see how much they include. So yeah, that was unexpected, but worth doing, and a lot of fun. And yeah, we got a hat, and gave Tucker a bottle of Arkansas Reserve bourbon. It was actually made in Tennessee, but Arkansas, whatever. He's the bourbon collector, if you've seen that. Not me. But, we were trying to think of something actual customizable, actual personalizable to give, so that seemed like a good one. Made sure he could actually accept a bottle of whiskey before doing it, but apparently alcohol is okay. So, did that. Probably better than a cigar, which is my next guess. So, yeah. Got back in late. It got to the point I really needed to get home for family issues that don't really want to go into now, personal things. Let's just say someone on my wife's side got sick, and I needed to be back here for that. So immediately after we, stopped at 7:30, packed up, and was on the road by 8, and I got home a little before 10, Tuesday night late, dirty and tired as hell, but having accomplished quite a bit. So Wednesday I downloaded the footage on the camera, started cleaning things up, doing laundry, and figured out my internet router was going out. It had been getting really slow, especially for uploads for a while, so we called AT&T and got that fixed up. To their credit, we hollered at them Thursday afternoon, and they had a new router here by Saturday morning. And since we'd had the old one for so long, this one was free of charge, because it was a hardware failure, not like we lost it or broke it. And we had the router for a long time. They say we had it since 2014, but my wife and I both remember having replaced it around 2018, 2019, but not gonna argue with them. Either way, we either had it 9 years or 4 or 5. It did its job. So got the new router installed, seems to be doing better. The download speeds are about the same, not great where we live, but not horrible. But the upload speed more than doubled, so that's cool. Hopefully that does reflect on videos, because with the newer computer, the upload sizes are getting bigger. And I did upgrade a few things. I actually went to the paid version of the video editor I was using, and, exciting for me, finally I found a simple, basic, something I could use MP4 editor that basically either splits or joins MP4s, which means I can finally trim videos. I kept trying to search for video trimmers, and I found, oh, this sounds super simple. The problem is super simple usually translates to visual interface, meaning to my speech it just basically looks at it as a blank page, or maybe it'll read part of it but just doesn't have keyboard commands, so even if it can read it, there's no way to access it all. I tried. This one was finally just like, yeah, it was totally keyboard accessible. It's exactly what I wanted. Type in where you want the split, or add 2 videos and hit join. Boom, done. It's all you need to do. And it doesn't actually process or render the video so the quality stays identical, because you're not actually modifying the file. You're just either cutting it into pieces or, you know, attaching the files together. So that means that going forward I should be able to do at least a little bit more in the video front, making things look a little better, you know, cutting out flubs if I want to, if they're not funny. But we did have a really funny one when we were shooting Friday. For those on the Patreon, you know, it was in the blooper reel. I've never done that before, and it was hilarious even to me, but it goes to show you. But yeah, so continuing to do that, computer upgrades, and see how the video stuff goes. The more I can do on my own, the better. So that kind of gets us to the weekend. Resting up a bit here. Like I said, it's cool, but sunny. But it's going to still be cold tonight. I think I'm ready for spring, not going to lie. Haven't really had time to do any stuff for this personal channel, guys, so it might be a little thin on the ground or repetitive. I still got quite a few of the old Stormtrooper videos I recorded. I kind of got in the mood to do those a couple of weeks ago, so I did probably 10 of them. And I've still got a couple of airplane videos pre-recorded. But, yeah, I'm just tired, as you can understand. Worked for 6 days straight, essentially, when I was down there, with maybe Saturday being the only semi-break I had. But when you're not at home, it never feels like a break. So, probably where I'll be for a bit. I don't plan on having to leave until maybe Easter, and then go see family just for a day. That said, when it does warm up finally, we have plans to go out to the cabin and maybe do some fishing and shooting. There's a stocked pond out there that's overfilling with fish that really could stand to have a few big cats caught out of it and cooked up for dinner. Well, they can. I don't really like catfish, so, but I'll eat the perch or the you know, brim that's out there. And that's fine by me. I do like fish, just not catfish. Personal things, you know, guys. So that's the deal. Plus, there hasn't been much new in the model world. Although I will end by saying that just today, just now, as I was doing this video, the Master Replicas website went live, which is basically who bought out Eagle Moss. And right now, they only had a couple of dozen Star Trek stuff on there. It's just the old stock they got from Eagle Moss, so presumably it'll still be Eagle Moss branded. I did pick up one thing. I didn't want to pick up a whole lot, not having bought from the new company yet, but so I ordered one as a sample. We'll see how long it takes to get here. It did say it was international shipping, so I don't know where it's coming from. And it said like 3 to 17 days, so it's a bit of a window. I also have that new Saber I talked about, the Xeno Pixel V3. I finally got the ship notice for it, and it should be here again. It's international, so it could be here tomorrow, it could be in 2 weeks. That's how international shipping tends to work. So when those come in, I'll definitely do a video. Not much new for the Black Series or Hobby Master. Hobby Master's just pricing me out, guys. Unless it's a new mold, like the new Voodoo they're doing later this year, or the MiG 31, I'm kind of backing off. Plus, I don't have any more shelf space. I'm just out of shelf space and not really in the position to build another shelf or desire. It's fun. I don't plan on getting rid of them, but man, you can't get anything anymore for under $100. Even like an F-86 is 70 or 80 with a discount. So yeah, I'm glad I jumped in when I did, when things were still reasonably affordable, but them days are over. And yeah, I know the Black Series and other things have gone up too, but when something goes from $20 to $25, it's annoying. But when something goes from $50 to $80 or $100, it really does become financially more of a liability. We'll see where it goes, though. I'm the kind of person that always needs a hobby, always needs something to keep me going. So I'm sure I will continue finding stupid, nerdy things to get into on this channel. And of course, we recorded plenty of videos for the Mishaco channel. Probably take a break there in about 2 weeks, give or take, though. It's about how many videos we recorded, and then we'll meet up again when it's warmer. But for now, we blew through so much ammo. We need to restock, and just time and energy. There's a lot of time out of both of our lives to do, so now I need to address other things. Did get in the Swiss guns finally, including my 5.52 Commando. Can't wait to shoot it. And actually, a friend just picked up an HK93, and he offered to let us do a video with it, so that'll be fun. I mean, you know what they are, but hey, pre-ban HK. Why not do a video, right? And I did finish up my Hungarian SA85M conversion to a AKM63. Yes, I know it's more technically an AK63F, but you know, hey, do your, you know, I don't want to do that. I want to do AKM63 with the forearm. Yeah, so that's the dealio there. And we'll see what else happens. Got a few other leads and other companies, and trying to reach out and do communications. Fox wants to do merch for the Mishaco channel, and I'm totally fine with that, as I said in the Q&A. So we'll probably look into that and look into live streaming more. We did it a couple of times over Christmas, and it was a lot of fun. So now that I've got my new computer, and he's about to get his new computer, that'll make us more able to do that. So that's my black box, guys. It was an eventful couple of weeks. Been a lot going on lately. But how have you guys been? Did you guys do anything for spring break, as it were, even if you're not in school? Or how is it where you live? Is it warm? Is it cold again? It's kind of confusing around here. It's starting to get warm and nice, and then all of a sudden, wham, nope, it feels like January again. Anyway, I'm going to pack it in. This is Misha, and we'll catch you very soon next time.